Hey everyone! It's been a while since I've come on here and did a live stream. Been pretty busy and productive with lots of things, and one of those things that we've been productive with behind the scenes is HollerBox, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that today and share with you what we were working on, what we've done, and ideally how HollerBox can be added to your product tool set to help you create leads and improve conversions and a whole bunch of stuff, and we're gonna get into all that. So first of all, welcome. If you don't know me, my name is Adrian. I am the founder of Groundhogg and the recent acquirer of another product called HollerBox, which you can see on my screen here. So back in May of this year, Groundhogg acquired its first company. We've started a few of them. We have Mailhawk, we have Formlift, we have Groundhogg, obviously. And then we acquired our first company ever called HollerBox from a guy named Scott Bollinger, who is a sort of a longtime WordPress community contributor. He's got a couple of products under his belt and has worked for lots of larger companies. And this was one of his side projects that he kind of had, and it was doing good by the people that were using it. And we saw an opportunity when he expressed interest in divesting himself of the time and money investment in that product. We saw an opportunity to give it a huge facelift and revamp and have it be a totally new product that could seriously benefit groundhoggers. We get asked a lot, or I get asked a lot, what's the best pop-up tool or like lead gen tool, or what's the best way to like create subscribers that get added to Groundhogg. And Groundhogg has its form module, and you can stick that on a website or a web page or whatever. But this is sort of like a purpose-built lead capture tool, and it's very, very tightly integrated with Groundhogg, and we'll show you a little bit about that. But we wanted to be able to provide our customers with a way that they could easily get leads with very, very minimal setup. Like before, you had to go to maybe like ConvertBox or Opt-in Monster or Elementor and get one of our integrations or set up webhooks. But with this, it's basically like one-click integrated with Groundhogg, and it's super easy, and I want to share that with you today. So at any point you've got questions about HollerBox or about the integration or about Groundhogg, and you want to drop those into the comment section, I actually have the comment section open on my screen here, so I can monitor that and answer things as we go along, hopefully. So again, just a quick introduction for HollerBox. It is a pop-up and lead gen plugin for WordPress. So it's a WordPress plugin. You install it on your site. It lets you create pop-ups and lead generation forms that collect name and email address, and you can send those to Groundhogg or send an email or a webhook or a bunch of different stuff. We got a bunch of different sort of like pop-up templates that you have access to, like banners and notifications and chats and callouts, and we'll get into all that cool stuff. It is entirely self-hosted like Groundhogg, so complete data ownership. Some of the other pop-up plugins that are currently out there, like Opt-in Monster, those are sort of like a combined plugin and SaaS module. This is completely self-hosted, so all data goes through your site and no other places. Like Groundhogg, we do have pro versions for this plugin. It's all flat rate pricing, unlimited signups, unlimited pop-ups, unlimited everything. So very, very keeping it in the same ethos or the same vein as our Groundhogg pricing. We want it to be incredibly accessible and incredibly flexible. And it's super easy. So if you want to learn more about HollerBox at any point, I'm just going to drop a link in the chat here. It's https://hollerwp.com, and you can go there and you can check it out. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through a couple product demos, and I'm just going to get into some of the cool things that we've done with this product and how you can leverage it to start collecting more email addresses and building your list and integrate it with Groundhogg and create a really cool user experience. All right. So I have just a site set up here with HollerBox and Groundhogg on it, and I am going to create a couple pop-ups. So once you've actually added HollerBox to your website, and it's free. It's in the WordPress repository if you want to get started with that. So if you go to Add New, and you just search for HollerBox here. First one, fast and effective pop-ups and leads generation for WordPress. Go ahead and install that. And once you do that, it'll just show up in the left-hand menu here. And you can click on Add New Pop-up. As soon as you do that, you'll be looking at a screen like this. Very, very, very little setup to go through. And you can basically just select one of these pop-up templates to work with. So one of the sort of differentiators between maybe HollerBox and things like Elementor or Opt-in Monster or some of the other like pop-up makers is that there's no drag and drop. There's not really any of like super granular design choice. We have these pop-up templates. You add your image, you add your text. It sort of takes on the theme fonts. And it just makes it really, really, really fast to being able to deploy pop-ups that are highly effective, right? So that's the main differentiator is speed and ease of use. So we focus less on sort of the drag and drop aspect and more on analytics, more on integrations, and more on being able to deploy quickly. That was our main goal. So I'm going to choose, these are sort of like the main pop-up types that originally came with HollerBox is these notification types. They're very non-intrusive. They show up in like the bottom right or the bottom left corner of your website. And then they just make it incredibly approachable for people to interacting with pop-ups that are non-intrusive, right? So we get a lot of pop-ups and they block our screen, they prevent scrolling, and it's like, all right, you can't do anything until you interact with this pop-up, and those definitely have their place, but then these are a little bit less intrusive, but they still attract attention. So I'm going to choose this notification with form pop-up type. If I go ahead and I click that, you can see it sort of just shows up. You can't see it because my face is covering it, so I'm going to change it to the other side. So you can see that it shows up just in the bottom left. You can add a message, you can add an image of the person who's like saying that message, and then there's an email address and sign-up form. So I can go ahead and I can change all of those things. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to add an avatar. I'm just going to add my face here. So there we go. That's Adrian. That's me. And now I'm showing up in the pop-up with my avatar. And then I want to go to maybe changing the content. So if you actually go to Groundhogg's checkout page or HollerBox's checkout page, and you have something in your cart and you try and leave the page, you'll see an example of this pop-up type in action. So let's say want 15% off, subscribe, and we'll send you a discount. So something like that. And then that just shows up right here in the notification area. And then I go ahead and I select or enter my email, and then somehow you deliver a 15% coupon to me. You can change the placeholder information here. You can change the button color. So let's go ahead and change it to like red. You can change the text color of that button if you wanted to change it to something else other than white. And then let's go about talking how to actually deliver that 50% off. How do we integrate it? How do we send people stuff, etc. So in this section where it says after submit, we have a couple options. We can show a message, we can redirect to a page, or we can just close the pop-up after they submit. But we want to deliver this person a discount after they subscribe. And we can actually do that within the pop-up itself. So I'm going to select show a message, and then I can enter the message that I want to send them. So I would want that message to say something like, thanks for subscribing. Here's the discount code, and then one-time save 15. And for anyone who doesn't have Groundhogg yet and wants to try out that code in our checkout area, you go right ahead. That is a valid discount code. And then if we come here, and this is, we have our live preview going on. This is actually like a live preview of our site here. so you can compare what the pop-up to the site looks like. Can't do that in some other places, and that makes it kind of annoying, merging design elements and stuff like that. So I will just enter one of my many email addresses. Let's choose this one, and I click sign up. And then it'll actually just show me the message, this success message, right here in the notification. Like the form will go away. And we'll see, all right, thanks for showing me, here's the discount code. So you can actually serve that entire customer experience all on one page without having to redirect them or send them an email or anything like that. So it all happens right here, which is really, really, really nice and makes for an easy customer experience. So that's pretty cool. So now that we're delivering that discount, obviously we want to be able to integrate it with something, probably Groundhogg, since this is the Groundhogg Facebook group. And what we want to do is add them as a contact, maybe apply a tag, so that starts a funnel that if they don't use that discount code or they don't buy after requesting the discount code, then we can send them a couple emails being like, hey, why didn't you buy, right? That's what we want to do. That's the purpose of marketing automation as CRMs. We want to be able to convince people to take some sort of conversion action. So in the integration tab, and this is also something that's unique to HollerBox, is you can have multiple integrations for a single pop-up. In most cases, if you have like a form or you have a pop-up that has like a name and email opt-in, you can only integrate that with one service. But with HollerBox, with the new version, you can add as many integrations. So you can send it to Groundhogg, you can send it to Zapier, you can send an email, you can send it to all these different places at once at the same time. So that's pretty cool. So we're going to add an integration, and I have the Pro version installed, and the Pro version comes with all of these CRM integrations. But if you don't have the Pro version, the Groundhogg one is free. So that comes bundled with the free version. Obviously, we want to promote our own stuff, so that's why. So we have some basic stuff. We have webhooks. We have Zapier. Those are also both in the free version of HollerBox. And then we have all of these other CRM options. So if you have a client or you're using another CRM for whatever reason at the moment, HollerBox can serve you as well. So I'm going to select send an email first because I want to just send them like a welcome email, and I want to show how you can do that through HollerBox, but obviously you'd be able to do that through Groundhogg as well. So I can send this email to the email address of the person who just subscribed, or I can send it to like an administrator. So like admin@holler.com or something like that. And I can add as many email addresses here as I want. I can remove them, so I can do whatever I need to there. Then set the subject line, set the content, and like in Groundhogg, there are replacement codes for the various different fields that someone might have provided. So location, so the page that they actually signed up for is automatically given. The referrer is automatically given. The IP address is automatically given. So all those are made available to you when you're sending that email. So if like someone is maybe on like a real estate website, and I get this a lot from real estate agents, and you want to see what property they were looking at when they subscribed, then you'd be able to send that information to like an agent or something. So that's kind of cool. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and save those changes, and we can see we're sending that email to 2 recipients now. So then I can go ahead and I can add another integration, and this time I'm going to go ahead and add Groundhogg, and it says, oh, I have to activate it quickly, so I'm going to go ahead and install. If you don't have Groundhogg installed, there you go, it'll tell you to. So Groundhogg's active now, and I can go ahead and I can select tags that I want to add to the contact record. That contact record is going to be automatically generated. And it's just asking us what tags we want. The fields are automatically mapped since there's only name and email address. So I'm going to just go ahead and say that since it's a 15% discount, they're taking their 15% discount. And I can add tags arbitrarily here. It doesn't need to be a tag that's already created. So 15% discount. But it'll also show you the list of tags that are already available. But again, I can just add them arbitrarily. Groundhogg is a pretty smart system, so it knows. It'll just create the new tag. And now if I go ahead and I add this email address, I'm not only going to get that one email, but I'll be able to go to, where did it go? So if I just go ahead and I'm just going to save these changes. So I can go to Groundhogg. And there we go. There is my new contact record added. So that's pretty cool. So let's go back to our pop-up. And we had this one going. So there we go. And again, you can go ahead and you can add as many integrations as you want. And one of the other things is for some other pop-up systems, you have to add integrations at sort of like a global level. So you can only connect to one ActiveCampaign account or one ConvertKit account or one Zapier account. And that can be pretty annoying in the event that maybe you have different pop-ups that you want to send to different platforms, or at least different accounts within those platforms. And so each integration for each of these pop-ups is at the pop-up level. So you just add the name and the API key of the account that you want to add, click connect, and then you can add as many different accounts of the same platform to the same pop-up. So if you have 2 accounts that you're maintaining for whatever reason, because that's a request that we get sometimes, then you can do so. And now it comes time to actually figure out where we want to show this pop-up and when we want to show this pop-up. So at the bottom here, we have 2 buttons. We have display conditions and we have triggers. Display conditions determine where and when a pop-up is shown, and then triggers is how a pop-up is shown, or sort of like what actions are taken. So let's open up our display conditions, and we have a lot to choose from. So number 1, we have like the actual pages. So we can go ahead and we can add a rule. By default, it'll show on the entire site, but then we can also select from all the custom post types that we have, from the posts, from pages, from like the special WordPress built-in pages. We can decide where we want this pop-up to be displayed. So let's say I want to show it on the front page, and then I also want to show it on specific pages like the checkout page maybe. There we go. And then I can select multiple pages as well, and I can add as many rules as I need to. And then if you wanted to show it, for example, on maybe all posts, but you didn't want to show it on a specific post, like the Hello World post, because I know that's there, then it would show it on all posts, the pages, and the front page, but not the Hello World post. So you can get pretty specific on where a pop-up is shown on your site. And then we have some more advanced rules that I want to walk through. So things like showing up to a certain number of times, showing a pop-up only after a certain number of page views, showing for specific visitors, like whether they're logged in or not, whether they're new or returning. So if you want to show it for returning visitors but not new visitors, if you want to show it on like mobile or desktop, if you want to show it to people who previously filled out or converted on the pop-up, or if you don't want it to show if they've previously closed the pop-up. If you have the Pro version installed, then you can show it between specific dates. So if you're running like a Black Friday pop-up and you only want to show it for a specific time before Black Friday, then you can do that here. You can schedule it, so you don't have to remember to go turn it off. That's pretty cool. And then, so there's also this show only to Groundhogg contacts, which is kind of an interesting one. So if you're using Groundhogg, then this will automatically be available to you. And what it allows you to do is using the Groundhogg filter system, which is not loading for some reason. Okay, well that's not working for whatever reason, probably because this is like a test site. But what it would, if it was working, what it would show is the ability to restrict the visibility of this pop-up to people who match specific filters in Groundhogg. So let's say you have multiple lists within Groundhogg using tags, like they might be tagged, like really high quality customer, like really low quality customer, and you wanted to show a pop-up to like the low quality people who are already on the list, then you'd be able to add filters to say, all right, only show this pop-up to people who are on our list who have like these specific tags. So that is a really, really, really powerful way. Or you could get super granular. Like if you're using WooCommerce, then you could filter this pop-up to only show to people with a certain amount of spend. Now that's pretty powerful. I wish I could show it to you, but for whatever reason, it's not working. So I'm gonna have to look into that a little bit later. But just trust me that it is there. So that is the display conditions. So let's look at some triggers. So for the triggers, some pretty standard ones available to you on page load. If we go ahead and enable that, we can see that we can show it after maybe 10 seconds of being on a page. On click, so you can take like a CSS selector, like an anchor tag or a button, and you can add that, and you can select whether you want it to trigger once. So this might be, the trigger once might work if you want to show a pop-up when someone clicks add to cart on like a WooCommerce product, for example. Then you can show a pop-up once, and you can see that there. On scroll, you can do scrolled past 50% of like a blog post. That one's really, that one's pretty cool. And you can change that to 25%, 10%, however. On page exit intent, so that's someone like taking their mouse cursor and leaving a page. That one's really good for checkout pages. So if you if you go to our pricing page for either HollerBox or Groundhogg, you add something to your product, and then you go to the checkout page and you go to leave the page. We don't want you to leave the page. We're gonna do whatever it takes to keep you there and finish the checkout process. So, on page exit intent is a good one for that. And then show after inactivity. So this one's interesting. So if someone's just on a page and they haven't taken any action, like clicking, scrolling, whatever, maybe they're just really focused in on a specific paragraph, you can say after 5 seconds of inactivity, we are going to show this pop-up. So we can set that up as well. Completing our sort of overview of the editor here, we can also preview what all of our pop-ups look in mobile, which is nice. And then we can go ahead and we can publish it. Oh, I didn't add any display rules because I didn't save. That's right. So we're just going to say the entire site and then click publish. And now this pop-up is live. So if I go to the HollerBox site, and I think what I did, I have another pop-up here. So that's another thing. If you have multiple pop-ups scheduled, all pop-ups are blocking, meaning that pop-ups have priority depending on their triggers. And pop-ups, if one is triggered or one is currently open, then other pop-ups will not trigger, and then they'll be added to a stack. And then as I close one, other ones should open. And I forget what the trigger was. If it was inactivity, then if I just leave it, and there it is. So I was absent on the site for 5 seconds, and then the pop-up shows. And that is how that works. That's pretty cool. And then if I go ahead and I sign up, I'm added to Groundhogg, and I also see that one-time save 15 code, or whatever that success message is. Okay, so going back to the admin, that is all well and good. So what do my reports look like? So if you go to the reports page, you can see an overview of all of the pop-ups. You can filter it by date, very similar to how the Groundhogg report system is. You can see how many impressions, how many conversions, what your overall conversion rate is. But you can also go into specific pop-ups, and you can see the performance of a specific pop-up and not just your overall general reports. You can also see what pages people are seeing these pop-ups on most. So just on the home page here, it's got 2 impressions, 3 conversions because we submitted it a couple times through the editor. So, but once it's actually live, then that will probably even out. We'll go back, and that just makes it really easy. You can also click on any of these to be taken to, again, the specific granular report for that specific pop-up, or if you want to click here to go see what the page is that they signed up on, you can do that as well. Going to our settings area, just a couple of things of note. If you have the Pro version installed, there's a little powered by HollerBox credit or attribution. You can go ahead and disable that if you have the Pro version installed, if you don't want other people to maybe accidentally click on it. But you know, it's kind of just like one of those things that we have in order to promote HollerBox and sort of spread the word, but you can absolutely disable it. For those of you in Europe or those of you marketing to people in Europe, GDPR is kind of important. So you can enable this setting, and this will automatically show a GDPR checkbox on all forms with opt-ins. And you can edit the text of whatever that GDPR text is here. And for those of you collecting cookie consent, I know this was a big thing for Groundhogg, so we implemented it in the new version of HollerBox as well. If you enable cookie compliance and you're using a plugin like CookieYes, for example, then no pop-ups will show and no cookies basically HollerBox won't work until someone accepts cookies and gives you that consent. And then immediately after doing that, then HollerBox will immediately show pop-ups or all of the actions will be set. So that's pretty cool. And that is basically HollerBox in a nutshell. It is very, very, very straightforward, and that is the intention. We wanted it to be as straightforward as possible because, again, for us, our ultimate goal was ease of use and ability to deploy quickly. So we didn't want to bog down people with like a ton of design options or a ton of settings, just like pop-ups that we know their formats work well, they convert well, they're pretty much universally applicable to any theme. And they're not just like the design is just not going to get in the way of collecting leads. But we also wanted to give it a little, give you design elements. So you can change the colors, you can change the fonts, you can change sort of like the layout. We have like cool ones like pop-ups with progress bars. We have, if you don't want an opt-in, you can have like yes, no buttons. So like yes, sign me up, or like a no thanks button. We have different kinds of banners, banners with buttons, banners with opt-ins. We have sidebars, signers with opt-ins. We have this FOMO sale notification thing. We just got a ton to choose from, and we're going to be adding lots more as we get requests for different kinds of layouts. So it's really a cool product, and I really think you should go check it out. If you are struggling with your current pop-up provider, or you're lacking in analytics, or you're lacking in integrations, or any of this stuff, and you just want something that's a little bit faster, a little bit simpler, and a little bit less intrusive, and just easy to work with, then I really think you should go try HollerBox. So you can go download that from the WordPress repository, just HollerBox there, or you can go to hollerwp.com. You can get yourself the pro version, and you can start creating some really cool stuff. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop those in the comments below. I'll be having a look at them. And thank you. My name's been Adrian. I hope you have a wonderful, great day.